Hi, my name is Dr. Benjamin J. Klein. I'm Associate Professor of Speech and Communication here at Western New Mexico University. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about how things are different if you're taking a communication class with me right now than they might have been in other years. 2020, the year we just finished, was a really, really strange year for all of us. There was social and political unrest greater than anything that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And in addition to that, there was the pandemic. We're in 2021 now, and while we all hoped to see things get back to normal, I think most of us are looking at a world that's still not. Social and political unrest has grown exponentially as we've come in. And while we've had hope from a vaccine that's being produced, the rollout is very slow. And it looks like in 2021, we'll be still not teaching or learning in a normal way. So I want to talk to you a little bit about teaching and learning during this pandemic. One of the first things that we would talk about is that Zoom is going to be a part of our lives. There's a number of reasons why we are going to be using Zoom for a lot of things in all of my communication classes. First of all, some of you want to take no risk and so you're going to stay home. And you just don't want to go onto campus, which is reasonable. You don't want to interact with people on campus, which is reasonable. And so until you are vaccinated or until you are comfortable with the levels of growth, you can stay home and you can Zoom your classes. Sometimes you might want to go physically to your classes, but you can't because you've been exposed to somebody with this virus, or you've had a positive test, or any other number of reasons why you might decide that you need to quarantine. And if that's the case, you are not going to want to come into class. Also, I might decide at certain points throughout the semester that the numbers on campus are just too dangerous for me to go into a classroom setting, or I may be exposed to this virus. I may even catch the virus. And if I catch the virus, I'm going to continue to have class as long as I physically can. If I reach a point where I have to be put on ventilators or something like that in the hospital, obviously I can't conduct class then. And so I will not Zoom in those cases. But I plan to conduct class every single day, whether I'm well or whether I'm sick, every single day in class. Every class that I teach that has an in-class face-to-face option will also have a Zoom option. But there are some things I'd like you to do if you're going to Zoom with me. I'd like you to attempt to find a quiet place to do it. Now, I know the realities in which we live. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have a wife. I have a dog. And I know that, and we don't have a huge house. And I know that there's issues of people just coming into our spaces right now and making it not so quiet a place. And so sometimes I know that this is going to be really, really difficult. But to the extent that you can, find a nice, quiet place to Zoom. When you're Zooming, mute your mic when you're not speaking. I know I told you to find a quiet place. Is that even necessary? There's always going to be little background sounds. Always going to be little background sounds that come in. And if there's one or two of those, it doesn't get too bad. But when I have 20 students all with their mics coming in, it doesn't work very well. Which also goes without saying, you have to unmute your mic when you're done speaking, when you are speaking. That's a little harder to remember, at least it has been for me. Sometimes I go in, I start talking, and then everybody's like, Dr. Klein, your mic is muted. If that happens, it's okay, you can say it. And if it happens to you, I'll say it too. The third thing, and this is very, very important, is you need to make sure your camera is on and facing you while you Zoom. I will not count you as having been in the class if I can't see that you're there. I need to be able to see with my eyes that you are in the class in order to say that you are in the class. And that also means you need to answer when I ask. Last semester, I had at least one student, and maybe more, who would turn on their camera, turn on Zoom, and then turn off their speakers and just go about doing other things in front of the computer, making it all look like they're there. If you haven't been interacting in the class, if you haven't been speaking, if you haven't been talking, there's a really good chance that I will cold call you. Cold calling is where I just say your name and ask you a question about what we're talking about. And if I do that, it's not always just because I think you're not there. I might think you're there and still do it because you just haven't been interacting enough. To avoid that, interact. Make lots of comments, make lots of questions as we go through. Interact with me, and then that won't happen. I don't really like cold calling. I feel like it's pedagogically problematic. I know that some people like cold calling because there's some good things about it, but I always feel like putting a student on the spot increases communication anxiety, and one of the things we try and do in our communication classes is decrease communication anxiety. But I'm going to do it because I don't see another way when we're Zooming to make this happen. Another thing that we really miss when we Zoom a class is those moments before and after class when teachers and instructors, the instructor is kind of cleaning up the space, and the instructor and the student have these interactions. And a lot of times you find out in those interactions that there's things that the student didn't understand or that needed to be clarified. And those are really, really useful to me as an instructor. So I want to encourage you, if you're Zooming my class, to also contact me in class other ways. All of my classes on the first day, I will give you my cell phone number so you can call me. You can give me a call. I don't always answer. If I'm busy doing other things, I'm not going to answer. Somebody is Facebook messaging me right now, and I'm not answering because I'm doing other things. When that happens, just give it some time. Leave a message. Don't call and don't leave a message. If you do that, I'll assume you're a robocaller, and I may accidentally block your number as we go through. Also, in most of the classes that I'm teaching this semester, I will have an alternate assignment. If for some reason your internet's down and you just cannot Zoom this week and you cannot come to class, I'm going to probably put for every week something you can do instead that shows me how you've interacted with the material and that you understand the material as much as if we were in class together. I'm sorry that this is such a complicated and difficult year to be in school. For some of you, there's been a lot of disappointments. Athletes who haven't been able to play their games. People who are missing friends and family. I haven't seen my family in years now. And it probably would not have gone this long had it not been for the pandemic. So I understand that this is a really, really hard time. And I understand we're all doing things. A lot of us have kids at home who would normally be in school. We have spouses who are trying to use the same workspace as us, and we're all just trying to make this work. But if you will follow those recommendations that I made, I think that we can make it work together. So thank you very much. If you have anything you want to add to this, if you want you want to talk about this? I'm doing it as a YouTube video, so you can go from my class to my YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and put comments on YouTube, or you can contact me via Zoom, or if you're one of my students, so you'll have my cell phone number, you can give me a call and we can talk about what's going on. Thank you very much, and let's have a wonderful semester together.